CVB Board of Directors, and we'll call it to order.
Set time, huh?
John's going to be late. Katie said she'd be here. Last night she said she'd be here. First order of business, we've got the marketing plan that we worked on a couple of weeks ago, which I thought was a very productive time that we spent. I have since sat down with Sherry and Carl and gone through it again in pretty great detail. And I think we've got it to where our objectives are reasonable, that our strategies make sense, and that our outcomes are in fact measurable. And to me, that's the key, is having objectives that serve our mission and outcomes that are measurable and reasonable ways to get there. I'm going to ask everyone to take a look at this. And if you have any suggestions for changes, get them to Sherry by close of business tomorrow. We're on a short deadline. But we have spent a lot of time with this. And I think that everybody has seen this more than once now, and I think it's in pretty good shape. Mike, would you like a copy of this thing?
Yeah, if you don't know.
That will be on our agenda for the regular meeting next week to approve. And it'll go to the city in June. And then we have our budget. And that's really why we're here today, is to drill down into the budget and make sure that everybody's on board with how we're allocating our resources for the next fiscal year. Carl? Or somebody, can you tell us exactly what we're looking at here? I haven't had a chance.
Okay.
So everything is different than it.
Yes, sir. Okay, what you're looking at here, first of all, is you got our proposed 2017-2018 budget, which you will note is highlighted the areas that we're looking at changing. And then this is our latest statement of activities.
So this is current.
So this is current as of yesterday, so that you can see where we are as far as monies go. So let me start off first with our income. You will note, if you look up here under merchandise sales, this is for through April the 17th. We've already sold $9,500 worth of merchandise sales, and our budget was $10,000. So what I recommended is we bump that up to $12,000 for the next year, so that we would take into account that particular amount of money. Under membership dues, you'll notice we've taken in $2,250, and that's what we get from our B&Bs. So
let me ask you real quick.
Sure.
Is there not a way to break this down even further for us so we can see exactly where those membership dues are coming from?
Sure, we'll give you a list of
And when it comes to the expenses, is there not a way to break this down when it says accounting and legal down here? It says $10,000.
Well,
is there not a way to break that down so we can see how that's allocated?
I'll get to it, but just let me. I can show you who our membership dues are for the bed and breakfast,
Okay.
and this year, I assume will be the same unless they open another bed and breakfast. Will be the same following year. So, but I can certainly tell you who they are that are paying us. And as far as the restroom trailer, you'll notice on here that we've only taken in so far about $150. But we have monies that are due to us, so we haven't gotten some money. So we dropped that down to $1,000 instead of $1,500 from what we had this year. Hopefully we'll hit that. But as far as our room tax, if you will go to the long sheet here, this is our STAR report. We get this monthly. And this is a report on 10 of the 13 major properties in Nacogdoches that pay hot tax. This particular, if you will look at the highlighted areas, that is the first 6 months of our fiscal year. So right now, we are in the hole around 2.1% of our actual dollars from last year. Now, I had additionally forecasted an increase of 8% for this year. So at the present time, we're about 10% down. And this is predicated on 10 of the major properties. So it's not going to fluctuate much, maybe 1 or 2% at the most. So that being said, I just did not feel comfortable with increasing our hot tax budget for next year. Now, I'm hoping that we'll blow it out of the water, but I like to be as conservative as possible when I do these things. And so I am not recommending adding any additional funding from our public funds from the room tax. We'll see what happens, but we're still we're already 3/4 of the way through our fiscal year. We're still having work done down there at the end of the town, so it's cost. I just don't feel comfortable with adding anything to that. So, the standpoint of our income, that's where we're at. As far as personnel salaries, I feel comfortable that we are looking at our budget, and we are in line, even if we add a couple of some raises for our staff. I feel comfortable we can maintain our payroll expense where it stands as of right now. If you look at where we're at on, we're 3/4 of the way in, and we still have a good amount of money sitting there, so I don't want to add anything to it.
Here again, is there a way to break that down for us? Do we not have a system that will detail this in much greater fashion?
Yes, we do. I don't have it in here right here, but we can do a detail for you.
That's really what I need at this point is I want to know what the breakdown on those salaries are. I want to see what the breakdown on the benefits are.
Okay.
If we're gonna really get into this thing and see if there's a place where we can save some money, we got to see what we're spending it.
I can make copies of that for y'all.
This comes out of, is there not a report that we can generate out of QuickBooks that breaks that stuff down by position when it comes to salaries and by expense when it comes to benefits and things?
Depends on how she has it in there, like by person.
Because this really isn't telling us anything.
Position, we want to put it as a person.
Okay. But,
We know who the people.
I mean, that's, we've got all of these round numbers, but I have no idea how it breaks down. And one of the things that we used to get out of the old system, if you remember, was that big, really hard to read, but very detailed sheet that said, here's what this means, remember? And that was actually useful.
Yeah, you can pull detail for any one of these categories. The only thing different about these is that the categories are accurate
Right,
from that old paper we used to get.
right.
Some of these are pretty self-explanatory, but on like the expenses personnel, to know specifics on that, you have to see per person.
Right.
To depending on how she has it.
Okay, so when we look at $10,000 for accounting and legal, what does that mean?
Well, in this particular case, it doesn't, this is particular area right here is strictly a ballpark guess, I'll be honest with you, because we have not paid any monies to anybody since I've been here for accounting. We've had work done, but at this point, we have not paid anybody. There's never been a bill given to us from Diana. Now,
How are we paying our bookkeeper?
sir?
How are we paying our bookkeeper?
Bookkeeper comes underneath the salaries. But we do know that there was an agreement made with Diana for doing the first 2 years, and that I believe she had said she would do for, I believe, $4,500.
Let the engagement letter write.
As far as the second year, the next 2 years, she said she would do it for $8,500. Okay.
We don't have anybody yet. So.
Now,
When are we going to get an auditor to clean that up?
we are working on that right now. I've talked with Axel and Rhodey. I have also talked with Carla Morgan. I'm waiting to get back from her. Axel and Rhodey wanted to charge us between $10,000 to $15,000 a year for the next 2 years, and then $1,500 for financial forms that they were going to put out. The only way that we could do that is to go back into our reserves to be able to do it. We do not have that kind of funds. We are waiting to hear back from Ms. Morgan to see what kind of price she will charge for the next 2015-2016. So I've called her twice trying to get some data so that I can go ahead and give you all a little better idea.
Are those the only two firms that we have?
At this point, anybody that we ultimately go with is going to have to be approved by the city manager. So we're trying to get people that have had background in the nonprofit area.
What about the guy over by the corner of the hospital? Yeah.
Well, that's Carl Morgan. Okay. That's her organization.
Yeah, she's in the old funeral home.
Yeah.
And Ken Rodriguez is
Yeah.
Ken.
Got a CPA at our church who retired from his company a couple of years ago. He does all of our church stuff. If you just need to call somebody else, I don't know if he's looking for more business or not.
Sure.
Well, we have to get a cleanup audit done on 15-16.
The good news is, obviously, the 2013-2014 has been taken care of, and that's where we're at a sticky point. So 2015-2016 should be a pretty smooth, normal type of audit. So if you'd like to...
He first engaged Carla Morgan during tax season. She needed some time to look over everything.
But again, I called her Monday, and I'm still waiting to hear back from her. She has the information needs to give us an estimate on what it's going to cost.
But here again, looking at these big round numbers, I don't know what any of this means. What's dues and subscriptions? $50.
These are the major things that we spend money on, dues and subscriptions.
What do we get from that DMAI membership? What tangible benefits, since nobody's gone to DMAI in a few years, right?
My recommendation to DMAI would be to drop it.
But they're the ones that supply the,
Well, we can't drop it because we have to have them for the empowerment.
they're a part of the Simple View calculator, the economic impact.
Okay.
So,
that's really the tangible benefit we get from that
Absolutely.
subscription.
and we're going to have to make a change this year, which will be a benefit because we have so many events here versus some of the other categories. It's an accounting thing. I mean, when you put it in there, unless we put the right measure, it skews the numbers, which is just pie in the sky. So you have to have DMAI go in there and account accordingly. It's just because of the type of events we have, like vintage market days, a lot of the things that are not currently calculated right. All we have is meetings and sports and conventions.
So we need the DMAI people to modify that?
And everything's,
Will that happen?
it just cost us.
Don't they also provide us with the benchmarks that we use for some certification?
Yeah, but we're not going after that certification anymore. That was something that was, I know it was taken on, but we're not pursuing that right now.
Is there any training that they're providing you guys to
The training would be if we spent to go to it.
go to? That's what we went to.
Right.
Yeah, and me too. That's what we used last year.
All right, so we're spending $1,400 a year with DMAI. DMAI.
Well, yeah, and that number seems kind of low. Carl, 1,400. Is that just for the membership?
That's for membership.
Membership.
Okay.
What else are we paying?
Well, the
Is that
membership.
year to date?
That's a flat.
Yes, it's an annual
number.
$13.95 membership.
So we pay for the membership just because. Then we have to, which it may or may not come under the website because they have a partnership with Simple View. And in order to activate the DMAI
Calculator, right.
it's
You gotta be.
either 1,500 or 2,500 every time. It's ridiculous. John,
Every year, right?
Yeah, well, I hope once we get the magic
add a
buttons.
new, yeah, okay.
But Simple View, when it was purchased, they got all these bells and whistles, but in order to activate them, you got to pay for it.
Right. And which one are we wanting to activate that we don't have?
The return emails is another totally
That
different.
email was,
Yeah,
that
because
was the 1,500 to 2,500.
Yeah.
But it's a one-time, right?
it's a one-time.
And once it's
And,
done,
right. And to add the events versus just having meetings and trade shows, which, we have to have events and you have to pay for that, but it wasn't recommended when Simple View was purchased. So when it was purchased, I can issue emails out of Simple View, but the returning emails do not come back into Simple View. So I have to pay for that, which to me seems a little nuts because why wouldn't it already be included? But that was not
I
included.
remember that conversation at the time when we were dealing with some contract.
So what happens is these emails come back into my Google and see you later, bye. Because I'm not going to copy and paste and try to find the account in another area when I could just go directly to it. It just seems kind of strange. Time consuming too.
Well, that's certainly the largest single expense in our dues and subscription.
are we waiting to do that the next budget? The 1,500?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate because it's really difficult. Like if, say I'm not here, or even when I'm here, to try to find responses. It's very difficult, especially as we're going to ramp things up, get busier and busier. So the fact that, it's just weird that it wasn't there to begin with. I guess so.
Much money to make that happen. Somewhere between 25.
One time.
I need to just find that out. Their magic number is 1,500 or 2,500 for everything.
got 2,000 in here for equipment rental, down from 4 last year.
Yes, sir. We're at the present time we're at $668. This is primarily for, I believe, our copying machine. I've lost all my other paperwork.
So the copying machine is not
Equipment rental. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's Pitney Bowes leasing machine and credit card services, and we should probably get one more of those. So that's going to be roughly $1,000, and I would like to have $1,000 in reserves for that. So I don't think we need 4,000.
Okay, when you say we need another one what?
Credit card machine.
Well, it's going to be about $1,000 that we have committed right now. But if there's things that we have to rent in the next 365 days of the contract, I'd like to have a little buffer in there just in case we have it.
You said we might need another credit card machine?
I'm sorry?
Or you said we might need a credit card?
No, because it's equipment rental. It could be anything. It could be projectors. It could be whatever. I mean, there's just things that
The Pitney Bowes is about 400 a quarter.
Right.
So we've only spent 668 so far this year.
We got, 360 something. Carl,
I'm sorry?
like 360 something.
Is it what?
The Pitney Bowes.
It's 360, 323.53 per quarter.
All right. Well, let's just keep rolling down here. The 6,000 for insurance. Is insurance on the building?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Maintenance contracts is,
Okay, on your maintenance contracts, you got,
we budgeted 4 last year.
Yes, sir.
Went to 6.
well, we have roughly $831 per quarter for elevator maintenance. We have $625 a year for elevator annual inspection. We have a monthly charge of $22 for security monitoring, which is about $250 a year. And then you have the annual security monitoring for $242 a year.
Okay. So why do we anticipate all that going up?
Anticipate what?
Why do we anticipate that going up?
Well, because if you look at it right now, we're 4 months into it. We're already at $4,698. We haven't gotten the next $831 charge yet. So we're just trying to maintain right at basically where we are now, which is going to be roughly $6,000. We can drop it down to $5,500, but
No, that's fine. And we budgeted 4 last year just because we were flying blind.
correct.
Basically.
This was our first budget, and we didn't have all the information at that time.
Do we use the same people that the city would use, things like elevator maintenance? Are we limited in this area who can do this kind of?
I would have to find out from the city who they use, but I would anticipate it's the same. They're out of Tyler, I believe, and I'm almost positive it's probably going to be the same people that the city. But I can find out and see if find a cheaper company. But in the location we're at right now, I don't know.
SFA has a certified elevator inspector.
On staff?
Mm-hmm.
Did not.
Yes, I know that because every time I get in the elevator, that's the only thing in there to read is the certification.
Well, I know it has to be certified or inspected once a year. I don't know what the maintenance contract or that has to do with the inspection certification.
And how much,
I used to know that, but I don't remember.
how much are we paying for the certification and inspection?
That we do that on a quarterly basis, it's $831.
$831 a quarter?
Quarter.
I'll bet nobody uses that elevator once a
Is that for
quarter.
the maintenance or is that for the inspection?
You're right, you're right.
That's the maintenance inspection thing.
Okay, I think we should look at that and see what, that seems like an awful lot of money for elevator maintenance.
I agree.
Such, yeah, such little use.
Well, do they have to be inspected quarterly or?
Well, it's a maintenance type thing that they, whoever, I'd have to see who signed the contract with them. But it's to maintain on a quarter basis. That's the contract we have with them, and then they inspect it on an annual basis.
I think we should look at that. I think we're getting a little deep into that one. I would, that seems like an excessive amount of money for that. If we can do an annual inspection, and even we may be able to get the SFA certified inspector just to come do it once a year.
Yeah.
Family deal.
Yeah. I'll find out who that is.
But let's look at that maintenance contract, because that may be something we can not have to deal with.
All right.
It's not a 50-story elevator.
Yeah.
You know.
That's why a lot of people don't get elevators,
Yeah.
to be honest.
But that's a lot of money.
Okay, our next one would be
Office
office supplies. You'll notice, if you remember from our last budget meeting, or our board meeting, we were actually much higher than that. But after going in and looking at it, we realized that we had we miscoded 4 items that should have been under improvements. One of them was the TV that we have in the lobby. 2 of them were new computers that we have purchased, and the other was the camera. So those were put under improvements, and so that dropped it. But still, we are looking at the fact that we are at $4,000 for our budget, and we are 4 months out.
So what are our main office supply expenses? Is Joanna like going through pens like we go on stuff?
I do too.
Copy machine paper, or is that under photocopy?
We did get a new printer. We do use ink and stuff like that. It's fine now.
Oh, yeah.
Those things should show on our balance sheet under assets.
What is the card service center?
It's our credit card.
Let's see, this for the
430.
that has to do with our credit card machine. I believe that we got a new credit card machine, and that
That tab, the kind that takes the chip. Cards.
Does ours have a chip on it?
Commercial bank. That we have it with commercial bank.
Here, take a look at that. There's a lot of SS card stuff on there. I'm not sure what that means.
I think it does take chip.
The new one? Do we have a new one?
I think the one upstairs does.
take chips.
I got to get down here and work more
I
often.
tried it. Did it work? Yeah. So I hope it took that chip. Yeah.
You see the new t-shirts?
Huh?
See the new t-shirt?
No, I didn't.
Lance stopped us off.
I need to go. I got my credit card with me.
One time we were going to look at those bank and credit card fees. I remember the discussion about that.
Yeah, Maury was looking into it with commercial bank.
I wondered, was that ever resolved? Any satisfactory?
To my knowledge, they didn't want anything to do with it. Just as far as
What is it?
we didn't take in enough money to really make it.
A card being used.
Right.
It's not.
Right, I was just
That's
looking
not-
over on the right-hand side there where there's an SS card tag that I don't know.
Yeah.
So what are we
It's a
paying?
Vista return video, my Hobby Lobby savings diamond trophy,
Yeah, that's awesome. It's all just
like
stuff.
supplies, basically supplies card. Or is it a certain person's initials?
Probably it's down.
Oh, sure, it's SS, there you go.
So it's my credit card.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So they're categorized in office expenses, but you can see what detail of those
Right.
next to it.
So what are we paying the $600 a year for bank and credit card fees?
I just remember several people thought that was exorbitant.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really, I'm not familiar.
I remember that, but that's as far as we went, because Maury was the one
I
into it,
think that's charged.
just to have the machine.
To receive credit. Should they take a percentage? Just like
And does that seem like a big, is that what it costs to?
That's a round number. If we look at what we expect our merchandise sales to be, $1,000, we won't get all of that credit because most of it is. And then each credit card company is getting paid different. American Express's fees is a bit higher just because of that.
But that's what those fees are. You don't do the specific cards. I think before, when we first
About 5%.
when we first started all this, a lot of there were some bank and credit card fees that were actually late fees that we were paying on a regular basis because the bills weren't getting paid on time.
Okay.
Like last month, showing on our April, the bank and credit card fees was $61.38.
Right.
And our
Merchandise sales were
merchandise sales were
$969.
$969. Yeah. That's about 6%. Except that you get your, the fees that you usually get charged on your credit cards are for the previous month. So the $969.52, those fees would usually show up in May. So it depends on what our March merchandise sales are.
Can you make a note, Carl, to go back a couple of years to 13, 14, 14, 15, and see what those credit card fees were? Because I think that's probably, you're going to see a much bigger number because all the late fees were still there.
And I think we changed it when we changed.
Yeah.
We had to move the account to commercial.
So I think this number's probably close to where it ought to be. But if you go back and look and see, because I think we were looking at several thousands of dollars before.
Well, they were putting late fees in there.
Exactly. Okay, so the photocopying number.
Photocopying, pretty much is self-explanatory. We're had budgeted $2,500 for the year, and at this point, due to just increased business that we're doing, activities that we're doing, we're using more than we would in the past. So we just recommended putting it up to $4,000.
That contract was exorbitant too, if I remember, that lease on that machine.
Yes, it is.
Well, and we rarely use that service on the fax. I mean, I never even use it. But I think on the photocopy, are you talking about just the volume?
No, I'm talking, the lease expense was,
But does this include the copy
Did we
component?
get their graphics to look at that?
I don't
I
know.
thought Judy did. I thought Judy had their graphics look at the, because that's not who it's with. It's with,
So Scott Company.
Yeah,
Waller.
Waller.
XETX.
yeah.
You have the 5090 over there, account number 5090 on the sheet that you have. The itemized
I
deal.
don't have that one. Is that-
I don't remember how long we're locked into that. It seemed like it was really high.
It was. But I'll check the contract.
I think Judy.
Well, I know she was fussing at him, but I don't know that she ever got around to it.
But I think she also, was it the Hibbards that have the other place in town on the loop?
Yes, John Hibbert had.
John Hibbard? Yeah, I think she compared. I don't remember.
When we were talking about this before, we'd also talked about trying to piggyback the city contract on the photocopies, if that's still a possibility. Like I said, without seeing the numbers, I can't tell you, but if I recall, that lease was a lot higher than anything that made sense. We could save some real money there.
The photocopying is just basically what we're charged on a monthly basis for the photocopies that we do.
Okay.
So by volume, you mean with
See, that's-
fan tour, you're going to have a packet of information.
Well, that's why the lease is so bad, is because, most of those copy leases come with 10,000 pages a month included.
Right.
We're paying every sheet.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Here I'm thinking that's old school, and that's the one thing we can do for people, is provide them.
We could if we had a decent lease.
Yeah, we need to, because we got to keep stuff in the hotels and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But we're looking at it between $400 and $500 a month. I mean,
When does this lease expire?
that's what I don't know.
I've written down to check that.
Please do.
Is it not the 236? Are you saying it's more than?
Well, I'm looking at the actual bill or the invoices here.
Okay, gotcha.
486, 385, 396, 396. That's ridiculous.
Do they provide the ink or term?
No, we pay for that too. In fact, it's the worst copy release I ever saw. Right, will you follow up on that, please?
Yes, sir. Okay. Going down, we dropped since we dropped the restroom trailer income, we also dropped the trailer expense, be in line with it from $1,250 to $750.
Hang on, let's go back up. We've got postage, there's improvements. What's costing us $6,000 in telephone and internet? Right now we're at 2,400. Didn't I see the router chart, the router stuff on the office supply line?
Looking at here, internet.
4,800.
No. That's utilities, 2,440. When you're looking at an April charge of $67.
Well, we went in and redid
I remember.
the AT&T long distance stuff. We were paying an exorbitant amount of money, and our bookkeeper went in and talked with them and bundled it, so we're down to a fraction. So we could probably save a little on that.
So is that $67.45 a flat monthly charge that I'm looking at in April? Katie, what does that 2446 break down to? Yeah. 348.
Did we used to have, what was it, cell phone? We used to bring yours.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This is
Well,
your,
that can't be included. We have to be phone and distance and space.
okay.
Okay. So we're still paying for long distance.
But it's all in a bundled package.
These numbers are all forward. Who was our phone? I know we swapped out all of our phone.
We did, and it was
This
bonded.
is the final bill in the old plan.
Right.
Long distance to August 31st.
Right. So are we still,
No,
We're not using it. We went to Vonage. The problem with Vonage was when our internet went out, our phones went out. So we went back to AT&T and put our old phones back in. However, we're talking with Scott Waller's outfit to just get some ideas from them on, where he said we could actually use our Vonage phones,
you're brand
the brand new
Can't
ones.
new. Can't use them with AT&T.
so we bought a bunch of phones that we can't use?
But we're gonna try to bring them back to life because the old phones that we had back in, you can't even check the messages. We can't even put new messages because there's no book or anything. So we're gonna try to reuse
Correct.
these new ones. And if we have Scott or whomever to do it using the internet or what are we gonna use? Not the internet again. We'll be able to
Voice
use
over
it.
IP, is that what it's called?
Yeah,
That's what I use.
Yeah, that's what they,
is Vonage.
right. Oh,
And
it's
is
not
it
just-
reliable?
It's as long as your internet's up.
And is your internet?
If my internet's not up, there's no point in me answering the phone anyway. I can't do anything.
What is it again? What is that?
Voice.
Yeah, but what do you call it?
Voice over
VOA?
IP.
Yeah, that's what they were talking about. That's right.
But we don't really have any problem with our internet going down in the same way we would if our electricity, if our internet's down, it's because the electricity's out.
Yeah,
Well, unfortunately, AT&T, at least here, has been a hit and miss.
it's been a hit and miss in this building, probably.
And so a lot of people, I believe, Kristen, you go to Suddenlink?
I have said,
We have so many.
Yeah, that's who these guys want to go through.
We also have Vonage. It's improved. And also it'll forward calls to your cell phone if
Yeah.
the system's down. So
That's exactly what they were talking about.
that's what I have set up on mine. If it's Suddenlink internet and then the Vonage phone, and if the power is out or the internet's down, it rings my cell phone.
That's exactly what they're
You
talking
can
about.
have it set to ring anybody's cell phone or everybody's cell phone. You can add as many cell phones as you need to. And then however many lines you have, you could even have your specific line followed to your cell phone. If you were going to be out and about, you needed to get a call, it also will send you a text of your voicemail so you can read it. It comes in your email. I mean, it does a lot of different stuff. Makes it pretty simple. But I don't have trouble with Suddenlink unless there's like really bad weather or something.
Yeah, I haven't had any trouble with Suddenlink either. All right, can we follow up on that too? I know your conversation's ongoing. Let's see what we can do there.
Yeah, they came up.
But let's not get into another contract like our photocopy contract.
Vonage is no contract, at least the one I have on. I canceled
Who'd you go through? Did you just go through Suddenlink?
to get my Vonage. I just dealt with Vonage. I set it up on. Really, I don't have as big of a phone system as you guys do.
Well, we're just asking them to give us some information on it and give us an update, see where we're at. So it had to go before
Suddenlink
you
has their own
guys.
phone system that they'll try to sell.
The what?
Suddenlink has their own phone system, which isn't.
Right.
It just doesn't seem like we should be paying $500 a month or budgeting $500 a month for telephone.
Well, it looks like the internet's only $57.60.
Which is why I don't know why we're budgeting $500 a month for internet and phone. It's kind of exorbitant phone charges.
Looks like the telephone and internet charges a lot of facts.
What do we do with it? Are we still faxing?
Yes, sometimes. Well, we get faxes.
Now, lots of hotel,
No, it was internet.
a lot of vacation offers.
It was just junk fax.
Same stuff that pops through in the office all the time.
Yeah. Right. I personally don't use it, but that can
You
be,
can set up an internet fax that goes to your email,
that's what I used to use.
and you can block some numbers that you don't want. Yeah, the April charge that's showing on here is just the internet for 1 month, the 67.
That's the only thing that's on our,
It looks like the phone charges come towards the end of the month. So the last posting on this is April 11th. So this is in
so our April expenses in that particular part of our budget are going to be significant.
it looks like about $250 to $260.
Okay, we've got $8,000 in utilities.
We're showing $8,000 in utilities. Right now, we are sitting at about 5,000, it looks like.
So we're just kind of we're shooting high on that probably, right?
Yes, sir. We might even be able to drop that down to 6,000.
Okay. 2,500 for consulting.
2,500 for consulting, which we had not used. I dropped it. Thought I had dropped that down. I meant to drop that down to 1,000, just to have it in the budget. But
We don't have plans to hire a consultant for anything at this time.
I don't think so. We could actually even stick it out.
Well, it's not hurting anything. We don't have anything on the horizon that we need to know about.
See.
Do we need to be in the restroom trailer business still?
It wasn't one of my life goals.
No, I never wanted to be the potty guy.
Do we even have a key anymore? I think I gave the key to Amy.
No, the agreement we had made with the city was that they would take care of the trailer, and they would clean the trailer, and that we would collect the money for it, and then pay the whatever cost to clean it. And then we would keep the money because we had, I guess, in the original part of this, we had put some money into it. And,
Yeah, I think we put a lot of money into it way back
so
when.
that this was just a way for us to recoup some of the investment we put into it.
You've only collected $150.
I'm sorry,
We've only collected $150.
so far. We've got about three,
We're budgeting to $1,250 in expenses.
well, we're dropping to
We also
$750 in expenses.
budgeted $1,500 for the year.
And we're dropping it back to $1,000.
So basically, we're looking at a $250 net. If everything
Return on
plays
investment,
out.
right? If that happens.
But we don't do anything except,
We take the contracts and ship them over to Amy, and so that they're aware of what's going on, and then we pay for the cleaning of them. They're the ones that set them up, tear them down, and clean them.
is there a reason for us to stay involved in that whole process?
That's up to the board.
Yeah, wondered all along why we got involved with it. It's really not our cup of tea. We don't make money off events. Why don't we fund the restaurant?
And are we kind of competing with local businesses?
It's a little bit nicer than just like a porta potty.
It's a building, you know.
Yeah, it's like
It's good.
it's
Are we advertising it or like, no?
No.
How would that look?
Well, actually, we do advertise it.
the
at our
Prairie Festival uses it.
Yeah.
I don't
Special
know.
sign.
We don't have the Boots and Brew anymore, but I know they used it.
I mean,
Festival attendees enjoy it. Now, whoever's supposed to be managing and operating.
Right. No, I'm not saying it's not
Yeah.
valuable, I'm just saying it's at us.
So,
I mean, when Sarah was still, she called it business party because it was so much nicer than
yeah,
a
it's there.
porta potty. Yeah.
It might take off some of the use of the CVB facility. It hasn't yet, though. I mean, they still use the visitor center.
God, that was, I mean, I felt like I was the restaurant monitor last
Restroom.
restaurant.
Wasn't it on the corner right across the street?
I never saw it.
We now have it behind commercial bank. Behind on the north side. And it worked well there because the generator is really loud in the side street.
I never saw it. I was wondering why so many people were coming in to use it. And, there's one of those bathrooms.
Trust me, they're using it. I mean,
Okay. Well,
it's being used.
I mean, it's not that big a deal. I just want to, as long as we're not spending a lot of time messing with keeping track of, because we just don't have the staff to do this kind of stuff.
Sure.
If it's occupying staff time. Now, if it's not a big deal, it's not a big deal. But if it's occupying staff time that could be better spent elsewhere, and we might want to just see if the city will take this operation.
And I do know the city takes care of moving it around and maintaining it.
Okay. Well, something to think about. I don't think anybody on the board is heavily invested emotionally in being in the potty business.
Main Street.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice thing to have, but
Well, I was just wondering if it's utilized in other areas of the city, the Main Street, Princess Lot.
Well, the JCs use it when they do some of their stuff.
Freedom Fest.
They use it at the mud run?
I believe that
Okay, that's what I'm wondering, if it's used.
it's been used out at the airport. Whatever they did out at the airport.
Night Fest thing?
Right. So, I mean, it is
Not
used.
as much, why would we only have $150?
That's what I'm saying. Where's the money?
question.
Yeah, somebody hasn't paid us. It's only $100. If it's more of a cash cow, I say I'll do it, but I think the money hasn't been collected.
Well, $150 for a rental on something like that is really nothing.
Yeah.
Oh,
So what I'm saying,
To have porta potties for
Yeah.
an event.
Well, then why, but that's why we only make $50 to use all this much. Why make?
I just don't think the money's been collected.
Who do they call to reserve it or use
The
it?
city.
The city?
I'm sorry.
They call the city to reserve it. The city manages the logistics of moving it around.
Well, they
And we pay to
contact,
have it cleaned.
they contact us because we're the ones that have the agreements. And then that information is given
The
to
agreement, you mean the rental?
the rental agreement. And then that's given to the city.
It's the most convoluted situation.
And who handles that? I've never even heard
They call the city sends them to us, we have the agreements, we send the agreements back to the city.
And then they pay the city?
I would assume they had.
No, they pay us. And then we pay the city to get them cleaned.
But how come there's only
Okay, let's, will you please talk to Jim or Amy or something and find out if we can't just get out of the potty? This doesn't make any sense.
Or make a profit off it.
Or get us paid, one or the other.
If we're doing the mud run out there, I don't know why you would only pay $150 for that day. Because if you got Porta potties.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
if we
more
can't
expensive.
generate some revenue out of this thing, then it's just not
I mean,
worth the
I
time.
think generate revenue for it, but I would also have them pay for it in advance.
Okay. We'll check with this, in a year.
Well,
That pays for the button we need on the symbol.
There you
Yeah,
go.
well, that many people are working those other types of events. I mean, it could be almost as good as some of our merchandise sales in a month.
Yeah, the question there is where's the, show me the money.
Let's find out. All right, travel and entertainment is straightforward, I think. And I frankly appreciate you getting by on that.
Yeah.
We need to do better on that if we can. So if we can save some nickels elsewhere.
Okay.
The 10,000 in event funding, we have not spent a dime of that yet, have we?
No, we're not.
We've not had any requests from our committee at all. We're almost halfway through the year.
Yeah.
So I don't see how we'd spend that much between now and the end of the year.
What are we thinking? Do we want to budget that and try again next year?
I think we should, because he's working on his budget. He's got his new tools in place to put it out. I think that if we continue, it should be available to the 501c3s so that they can apply for it. We can let them know. The ones that have applied in the past, we can let them know that it is available.
Did the OTT guy ask us for anything?
No, they've stayed pretty mad at us in recent years.
Right, but I did go out and judge, and I also hunted them down over at Lugnuts to let them know that we were back in the game.
Okay.
Well, and now
And,
that we have some of those calculators that we have, it makes it a lot easier for
Yes.
us to be able to.
That's the
to
key
help
right
them
there,
fill
to-
out the application.
Absolutely.
and
And see what a reasonable return we're going to get.
right, and they killed it this year. They had more people overnight last year, or at least the last 2 years
Okay.
up in here.
So I guess the key is letting people know that we've got a little bit of support.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he'd appreciate it.
All right. Then I think we leave that where it is. 7,500 in continuing ed. What's how does that break down?
Training.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, man,
Sorry.
and is that for certifications too? I'm training with the Fredonia for free, but I'm training with the course. Advantage of that.
How long is that training, Joanne?
It's 2 days. It's on a Friday and Saturday. I'm sorry, Thursday, Friday. It's for one of the big training companies for hotel, hospitality management. So I like it.
Do you know how many are going through it?
I don't. I just knew I was.
Yeah.
So we can talk the same language. You know, they're not hiring.
See, there's some of that stuff I think is not really training. Some of that should be moved maybe into another category because we've got some conference registration.
Well, the conference registration.
Does that belong in continuing ed?
TTIA? Yeah, I would think so.
Everything that's in there would be registering
Unless
for a
it's
continuing
sales-
education
unless it's
class.
sales-related.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
unless you want their specific like reimbursement for mileage and meals and everything go under the travel, but it's.
No, as long as it's associated with continuing ed, that's fine.
And obviously, due to our shortfall so far as our funding goes, you'll notice that we have tried to pull back on doing any more of that for the rest of the fiscal year.
And administration expenses.
And the meetings, those are like chamber lunches and stuff like that.
Those go under individual departments that would be under their meetings or travel and entertainment, primarily under meetings.
We had $500 budgeted for the annual budget, and we're at 909. So that's one place that we're over.
Yeah.
In April, there were $112.
Correct. Talking about meetings. There. Right.
Are those meetings we go to or meetings we posted?
Do what?
Is meetings we posted or meetings we've gone to?
No, this is meetings.
Yes, under sales, it's got the event hosting, and that has
Facility.
different expenses associated with that, I believe. And that's got fan tours and trade shows, travel and entertainment for those, but those sales related activities. But I'm thinking these might be like chamber luncheons or, stuff like that.
Okay.
Are you in Rotary?
Yeah,
That's in
so
dues
funny.
and subscriptions.
That's in business subscription. The Old Stone Court bike ride, is that more of a sales meeting? It looks like some of these may be miscategorized. It should be under
Sales.
the sales instead of in the, like the chamber luncheon would be correct in that category under meetings. Those are going to be top administration expenses. But
There's not a meetings under sales, so what do you suggest we put it under?
like if you guys do a luncheon, it looks like you're not doing the luncheon for everyone. You're just reimbursing their own expenses. That's
Usually anything that's a meeting for sales would go under their travel and entertainment category.
There's nothing under travel.
But if they're just going to,
I'm talking about like if you're having a luncheon at Dolly's to talk about the SFA or that will start more bike ride.
That would go under meetings.
That's the kind of stuff that's.
Right, exactly.
Parking.
Well, if we spent 900 already, shouldn't we budget more than 500?
Well, that's we want them to be active in the community. So if they're attending the SFA partnership meeting and have to pay for parking at SFA,
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff that's going under this category.
Yeah, it's kind of a catch-all.
But it's all mostly sales related. And even going to the chamber lunches, sales. As long as we know that's what that is. But I would say we need to probably have that around more like 1,500. If we could take 1,500 from phone bill, telephone and internet, we're not going to need $6,000 in that. $100 is what we're currently spending. When I multiplied out the average times a year, it was only 40, right up to 200. So if we budget 4,200 or 4,500 for the telephone and internet, you have some extra money. But we
there may
did
be a
this,
way to drop
we didn't have really anybody that was doing a lot in the community. So,
Okay, so you're suggesting that we drop the telephone and internet budget line to 4,500 and increasing the meeting line to 15. Which will throw another 500 into reserves. Okay. Does that work for you?
That's fine.
Anything else on that administration part?
Let's see. Just other than the fact that we dropped our reserves down, obviously, because of increased in expenses from the 11,219 down to 6,069.
All right, so the sales stuff, event hosting,
All right, you'll notice it says 671956. The 1622 was coded in the wrong location. So next week, when you actually get this budget, that'll be down by 1,600. So even though that's the case, we're still down to roughly a little over 5,000, and we have 4,000 to go. So we are recommending we put it up to 75.
What's the 16? Where's it?
That's the MLF.
okay, so what exactly, how does this break down? When we talk about event hosting, what are we doing? Why is rental equipment in here?
That's for specific events.
Okay, so we're not putting that under equipment rental.
No, that's this. We were helping to host the vintage days.
Yeah, see,
That was one of the charges that we were paying.
what are we getting out of that?
It's good. But if you haven't seen the economic impact on it, I'll show you. This last one was better than any of them before either because of the overnights and is promoting the overnight package. So people came and stayed, went 2 days. And we had a ton of business from Louisiana.
we saw one.
Yeah. And that's what we do. We set up a table out there too as well to push business in town. And the winery that was our grand opening. Had a ton of people go out there for that opening.
This is, this is for the film festival. We
And where's the rest of them? Where's the,
no.
I just want to make sure that whatever we're spending on events, it's like Rick's money, and whatever we're spending on events, we know we're getting a hot tax return, that we're just not paying for things that people in town are having fun with.
Absolutely.
Not that I don't want people in town to have fun, it's not in our money.
Yeah, and we're
Not
not.
at our expense.
Exactly.
Right. That's the height of it.
Well, and how does that come back to the event? 10,000
Yeah,
that we
that's,
requested.
yeah, shouldn't the vintage trade day stuff go through?
No, I mean, it's a profit, unless you're doing just nonprofit. Is that what I heard? Did I hear we were just doing nonprofit?
Not that I know
Well,
of.
the way we had set it up is anything that we were helping to help bring into town, such as vintage market days, OTT. Well, OTT would go through him, but these are more like conventions and trade shows, that sort of thing. We put underneath event hosting. Now we can switch it around, whatever y'all want to do, but that's where we've been putting it.
Like the Public Queen Annual Conference?
Yeah, and that's in here.
That's in there as well, yeah.
So the difference is how much we're involved with actually putting on the conference versus if we're just giving them volunteers.
Right. I find that to be a little more controllable, personally. But, however we have to do it. Plus, this process has been kind of up in the air. So here comes the event, and I'm like, yeah, get her done. So we cut way back on the Public Queens, and we do more so this year. But we still have to show the love. It's at the 4th year, and she has options. We got to figure out what we can do. I'm just not a fan of giving money away. I want to know what it is we're doing. For them, we hadn't had that process in place.
The majority of this, you look at this, the majority of those monies came from, or were spent on the Public Queens and the vintage market. This is the kind of breakdown, though, that we really need to see to make sense out of this, is the detail. And if there, I don't know how the software works, but if there's a report we can run that gives us more specifics, even if it's not this specific, that would be very useful for the board to have, at least while we're going through the budget process. Because I think there's some good questions being raised, and we want to make sure that we're being as specific as possible.
That's another place where DMAI would come in, because some of these numbers, like even the cost, where do they go through? Just because, I'm not there yet. I don't know how that rolls. So we can print out and show what the return on investment is and all that good stuff, but if you plug in our cost on it, it doesn't look so great.
Some of this stuff, in all honesty, needs to be some shared funding from other sources. The chamber, as an example, is getting a lot of money out of events too. People come to town, they don't just spend the night and get bed tax revenue. They're out in the community eating and gasoline and stirring up commerce in other places. And so I don't think it's a stretch to think that we should be sharing some of that expense.
Well, we did that with the Major League Fishing big time.
Yeah, we probably do.
Yeah, and I think those type of relationships continue. It's also like with the...
When you look at like music festival, we're already going to be sponsored by so many little businesses. We came and filled out the application process. for any of the additional funds. We'll also be working with hotel packages and all kinds of stuff. So that one, the major event in August, could end up being in multiple categories on here, the way that we have it split up between revenue generating hotel packages and stuff that are in this breakdown, and then just funds that are used or, but, major sponsors of it are not going to see it. They won't even come close to how much the major sponsorships would be contributing, which are businesses, local, regional, and state businesses. A lot of these events, I think, do have some business sponsors.
There's one line in there that I'm curious about. We've got a hotels for wine swap.
Oh, that was under reimbursement. That was our first package where we offered an overnight special with Amy. So we had a resource where we could go online and purchase tickets and go through that system.
That was a package.
Yeah, but she had her vendors. Yeah, she had vendors. It was a total. That won't happen again. But she had vendors coming in, and so we were able to secure a rate for them. And I'd have to look at it to see what you're talking about. How much?
It's like $135 or something for hotel rooms for wine swap.
Oh, that may have been for. I don't know what that's for. I paid for my own. I don't know what that was for. I'll just take a look at that. But pretty much the
And
city.
most of the Pulpwood Queen's expenses we got reimbursed through event income.
Yeah. We're working it better, I promise you. But in getting the city involved, trying to create packages on all these events instead of being single days, well, we're doing it really very.
Because I say that should be worked out for our
Yeah, it's done.
weekend.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, year to date, we've overspent in that category by $1,700. Probably overspent. So,
We're talking about event hosting.
yeah.
Okay, as I said, in the event hosting, we're actually, the 1622 is going to go.
Oh, that's right.
Into, so we're still over. So,
Right. So we're at 5,097 basically.
Right, but I
Right
was
at-
fighting that. I mean,
So the Major League Fishing advertising doesn't go into that category.
it was an advertising. What is that dollar amount?
It says
Yeah,
MLS
16
tournament,
something.
162252.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking Carl.
that's because of the fact this is a deal where we're going to be getting actual advertising. We're putting that under advertising. And then part of that money is being reimbursed to us by the chamber. They're giving us, actually, we just got a check for $1,000 to offset that.
Yeah, we shouldn't be out any money with MLF.
Mm-hmm.
We're not out any money for MLF.
Should have been.
Okay.
Or if it is, there's $1,000.
It looks like other stuff, shuttle buses for the home tours and stuff get reimbursed.
Yeah.
Correct.
So a lot of the, I guess, services we extend, we turn around and charge.
Yeah, but we still spent 5.
Went down.
Yeah, we'd be at the budgeted amount by now.
We are. Yeah. Okay, so we're budgeting $7,500 for next year.
Correct.
For that kind of stuff. Well, I think Rick's right on this one. Any of those kinds. I mean, it's all a lot of little stuff. Any of that we can get some help on.
Oh, and that's what I'm saying. We do. So that's why we do get it. So to me, event hosting has been a catch-all for a lot of other stuff. I don't want it to be. That's kind of like my baby. So yeah, I ask everybody for cash, trust me. I mean, we didn't pay for anything for no stuff. I got money from everyone else.
$2,500 for fan tours, is that,
That should be appropriate at this point because we're also trying to get some co-op on that stuff.
okay.
Got co-op on that already for this past weekend. John helped us out, get Big Rider in. We're going to have another one in January. You guys just need to decide if that's going to be enough. I think fam tours is the best thing in the world for us. So I would want to do another one. It's just me.
How many do you think we can get done in a year?
2.
Two.
The one in January we're going to do during the public Queens. It'll help John with meeting planners. I think it's a good time. But I also want riders at the same time. It'll help them, our push to keep Kathy here, because it'll be a lot of PR for her. Because we're not paying for anything for her anymore. But she got a couple of good years out of us, so now we have to be creative. You know?
So towards the end of the month?
No, it's Martin Luther King weekend.
Okay.
So.
All right, we're going to budget $10,000 for trade shows.
We'd like to keep it at that if we could.
Okay. $2,500 for travel and entertainment. All right. Anybody have any questions about the sales stuff beyond that? Okay. Marketing. Just as a general comment, any nickels and dimes we can save anywhere to turn back into that advertising.
I agree.
500 extra going into reserves
Yeah.
and administration costs.
We budgeted $200,000 last year. Right now we're at $141, so that puts us on track. Yeah, anything we can do to increase the advertising number as we go along. Why $6,000 for the website?
Okay, on websites,
I'm getting old and forgetting everything. We front-loaded that for 2 or 3 years.
3 years.
Annual licensing. Okay, that's what I thought.
okay, so we will have the event impact calculator, which we will have to, which was another thing that was not included with the,
That's $2,750.
yeah, so it's $2,750,
And then the $1,500 to $2,500. That
$1,500 to $2,500 for the email that we're looking at. And then there are times that we do have additional miscellaneous expenses that do go on your website, so we wanted to have at least $1,000 cushion.
Is that going to include the training?
I'm sorry? Training?
The training would be in the
Continuing
got
ed.
it in the continuing ed.
More simple view?
Mhm.
Okay. The event impact calculator.
So right now, when you do your calculations on economic impact, we have the choices of trade show, meeting, or sports. That's it. You have nothing for events. So nothing for a blueberry.
Okay, so what's different? I mean, is the factor different in events than it is in meetings?
It's DMAI standard calculation.
Do they have a definition of event?
Yeah, they do. And the numbers are different. It's just a matter of, like right now, they're telling me to take a blueberry and stick it under sports amateur. Because it's the closest thing to it. So, event was something they created later after they came up with the simple choices.
So if we buy it, it's going to, what's $2,500? Is that what we're talking about? And what we're getting for that basically is the ability to calculate economic
More
impact.
effective.
Is it annually or one time?
I think it's one time, because it's creating the button. It's for the,
Let's find out, let's make sure it's
I
one.
don't know. I'm almost positive.
So is our thinking then that by being able to more accurately calculate economic impact of those events, that we can then strengthen community partnerships?
Yes.
And
Well, if OTT Raleigh could put their event in and we could actually get accurate information about the economic impact, it would help us know if we should fund it.
okay.
Because otherwise it just looks weird. You put sports amateur, you can't put trade show, because they have a few vendors out there. It's just really skewy. So it just would be the best thing to do.
And if I'm not mistaken, the city council would like more details too. I mean, after our last time that we were there, they said that they wanted to have details that could show them the economic impact of this. And this is one of the major ways for us to be able to do that, is to have this available.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not anything.
Printed collateral, 2257 is what we've spent, but we're budgeting 10,000 again?
Well, that's, we are in the process of redoing collateral pieces, and those continue to be given out, so we have to redo them every year. So,
How much? I mean, we used to have a wall of brochures. I'm the printed collateral. It seems to me that everybody's walking around with a phone and we've got a website. Shouldn't we be able to start phasing some of that out?
You would think.
But no.
People still want brochures. Yeah. We're in the process of updating the walking tour brochure right now. It's that time of year. So, I mean, there's brochures. The brochures that are really popular that people are taking, those are the ones that we're working on.
How many different ones do we still do?
We have the main tourism brochure.
That's the visitor's guide?
correct.
Okay.
We just redid and updated the Garden Capital brochure. We're in the process of doing the walking tour brochure. We're working with Friends of Historic Nac to create a statue trail brochure. So that's in the works. And then we'll partner with Main Street to do their downtown shopping. So those are the main ones. And then, we have the Oak Grove Cemetery brochure. There's the oldest buildings in Nacogdoches brochure. Those have not been updated yet. So, but as they, we start running out, then, decision would need to be made to, whether to keep it and print more, update it and print more. So, but like I said, the ones that we've done right now are ones that people use.
And are these things we mail out or primarily things we hand out to walk-ins?
Well, the visitor's guide, we mail that, and then any special events that we have coming up, we have rack bars like Blueberry, for instance, that's coming out in the packets. But unless they're specifically asking for that information, I don't think it gets included, but it's in here with them.
That main brochure too is included in all those orientation sessions, right? SMK, Showcase Saturday, that's thousands right there.
Yeah, orientations alone.
And they want that. They really do.
Do they?
Yeah.
We've been doing the brochure for,
We've got a ton coming up. All
Is
those
that a
parents.
new teacher thing too?
Faculty,
Faculty teacher.
It can be.
Yeah, we
I
have.
can't remember if we did last year. I just know those orientation sessions.
Yeah, there
Those
you
are
go.
big.
And we're totally involved in that. Speaking of, we'll talk about that another time. But, yeah, we have to get all that together. We talked about it. That's a lot of information we got to print.
When are you losing your interns?
we lost one, Carrie's here until, through August.
Dana's done it. All right. 2,000 for research.
That's your star report that we get on a monthly basis.
Okay. Is that just a flat 2,000 a year?
Just flat 2,000 a year.
And then 1,500 in travel and entertainment. Again, that seems very low to me. All right, so our total marketing expense is 2095. Anybody have anything else specific to that?
So we're cutting our advertising by 10?
I would prefer that we not. If Katie suggested we drop our internet and telephone budget to $4,500, increase the meetings budget to $1,500. That gives us $500 more in reserves. So that gives us 65, 69 in reserves. The stuff that I'm seeing in here that we really need to focus on if we're going to funnel more money to the stuff that matters, to the sales and to the marketing, is stuff like the ridiculous photocopying contract that we're carrying, the amount of money we're paying for telephones. That's the kind of stuff we really need to deal with, because if we can save $5 or $6 grand there, we put it right back in here.
Oh, do you have
We've got to do that.
insurance?
Go ahead, what?
Do you have the breakdown of the insurance? Because in April...
We just can't keep paying these kinds of money for the stuff that should cost a lot less. So we can put our money where it's meaningful.
Our dues and subscriptions are also over budget. Administrative.
Right. What is that? Is that the building? Let's see.
I have to double check on that. I think that's our liability. We have, city, 3 different ones that we have to have. That's
Okay, so we've got the marketing plan that we're going to deal with as an action item next week. The budget that we're going to deal with as an action item next week. When do we deal with our contract with the city? That doesn't come until later.
it comes later.
Okay, after we've already got the marketing and budget approved.
Correct. That goes, I believe, in
Let's really try to concentrate on knocking down some of the operating expenses that are just there. Like I said, the photocopying, the telephone and internet. We could save a significant amount of money in those places. It would make a big difference to our marketing. I'd much rather see, Joanna taking people to lunch than paying for copies every time we turn the machine.
As the Google service apps, I use Google, and stuff, and it's $5 per email address, doing $80 a month. You know what else you might be getting? Because you can also set up aliases instead of having actual separate mailboxes. So like if you spell my name wrong, put an E on the end. I don't have a separate email for that. I just have an alias. But I also have booking@libertybellbar.com is an alias, not a separate email address. So they don't know necessarily they're emailing me, but I'm not paying for separate email addresses. So I don't know if that $80 is including email addresses and maybe extra storage or something like that. But
Yeah, there's a couple, we do have it set up that way for aliases. for each of us. Like Carl, we have admin, there's admin set up under Carl's and marketing set up and so forth. So but I think that so we're within that range, but I think there's a couple of people on there that probably get.
We
might
have
be
an
able
intern for interns.
Doing away with
Keep
it.
it simple.
Yeah. Because I think they're $5 a piece for the email addresses. So that, I mean, it's not a lot of money. It's something that's not really safe. And that's part of what some of this makes contract. Is the email.
Carl, what about the conversation with maybe the thing we're looking at was Scott? Where's that going to go? Is that under maintenance?
What?
The thing with Scott Waller, protecting our computer.
Right.
Is that going to go under maintenance?
It'd be a maintenance contract, yes.
All right, if we're going to spend any more money there, I want the photocopier deal renegotiated.
Right, you're right.
That's ridiculous. That's why I got on a photocopy kick this morning. But that's just a lot of money we're flushing. Kelly,
Yes.
do we need to find a place for some board training and development expenses? I mean, we've been talking about maybe stepping up our game in that regard.
Right. I think I've looked at some online training options that are great and they're free. That I just need to get some more information on if they're really applicable. That the board needs to spend their time doing them. The only thing I can think of might be for the February strategic plan.
Yeah.
Where would that go?
That's what I'm trying to think.
Yeah, that would be the only thing I can think of that might be coming up. That would possibly.
Would that fall under continuing education?
Yes.
If we do that on a Monday, then
So
I can
funny,
provide
I was
some-
thinking of a Monday.
Yeah.
Because usually people don't have other appointments.
Yeah.
Days.
We could do some
We're
and that.
So we plan on putting that in continuing education. Right. Any kind of board training stuff would be in continuing ed, if there are expenses associated. Okay. All right, let's look at the visitor services stuff real quick. We're budgeting $8,400 in expenses.
But we have we will have, of course, what we're doing right now is we have new T-shirts and some different things that we're putting out with our new branding.
Yeah,
and our logo.
the more stuff, the better.
Yeah.
And so that will increase substantially, and we're hoping that we are seeing an increase, obviously, in the sales of them. So obviously, there's going to be more of an increase in our.
What's our margin there? We're only budgeting $12,000 in income and $8,400 in expenses.
It's about a third, I think. I can double check it.
What do we sell the new T-shirts for?
Currently they were at 14. I mean, since I've been here, they've been at 14.
That's a really cheap T-shirt.
I charge $15.95 for the shirts.
Do you?
And I sell it. And I pay
60.
between 7 and 8.
Yeah, should double whatever the cost is. I mean,
Let's make sure our margins are right on this.
Okay.
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 And let me ask another question, Carl. What about the Chotskys? Where's that fall?
Such as?
Stuff like at trade shows to give out any, pins and things like that. Where's that?
Where does that come out of? Because we need to have that stuff.
Well,
Vistaprint was on that report, which could be tchotchkes, pins, and stuff like that.
No.
If we got them from Vistaprint.
Oh, we could use Vista. I mean, Vista's.
I saw it on the report.
That's from the posters that we do for one of the hotels and then inside upstairs.
Okay.
Just the old school poster,
I think that was
which
under.
I think is.
I think that was under
So if we're gonna have 1,000 pens
I think
printed
it
with
should go
our,
in, if we're giving it away at trade shows, that's an expense for trade shows, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, but you don't.
But it's going to be here too. It's for
Yeah, you
goodie
don't.
bags.
We're using them right now. They go
Goodie bags.
goodie bags.
Well, it's got to be trade shows or office, office supplies, I don't know where else you would, where else you
it's
could put
not,
it.
it's not office.
You know, when we do anything, goodie bag, something that has our website on it.
There shouldn't, maybe that should all go printed collateral. If it's stuff that we're putting logos.
I bet it's been going into office supplies. Which
Well,
makes sense.
there's
why
been
that's so high.
nothing printed. I mean, there's been nothing created. That's all
We
I'm
haven't
asking.
done any.
All we have is old logo stuff and digging to give away old
I mean, if
stuff.
we did order pins or things like that, that goes under office supplies because we also use that. Not 1,000 of them by any stretch, but we've been trying to use up what.
But I know that Chris has been looking at some things for us because we do have nothing with our name on it.
We're going to call a temporary pause while Sherry changes the battery in the camera.
Yeah, we don't even need the fresh cover.
That's a lot of money. Because if you can't piggyback on the city and on the elevator,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if we can,
Yeah, on the computer
if
stuff.
we look at that elevator cost, the photocopying cost, the telephone and internet cost, we've got another $5,000 or more to put in advertising. Or to print
Maintenance.
stuff for trade shows or
Yeah.
whatever it is. Let's make sure that we're spending our money where it's doing us good.
But we have to get a separate maintenance for our or for
A separate maintenance for the computers. Separate from what?
the city. We used to have issues, you know, we could call them, now we can't,
Why not?
because they said so.
We were notified by the city manager that as of October 1, we will not be able to have access to the IT people.
Easy nuts.
So that means our meetings
Yes,
will take
well,
care
they've got a
of
bunch of
that.
stuff I guess they're working on right now.
Yeah, which takes, totally knocks down our internet while she's downloading.
Yeah.
Can't do anything.
Don't sign any maintenance deals on the computers. We've got a lot of IT people running around that we can utilize and just make a deal with for a reasonable per hour or per service.
I would say sooner than later because things are starting to pop up on our computer that at least make me extremely nervous as a company. So we need to figure out what comes next
Okay.
because we don't have anyone to troubleshoot with because they're too busy. So we get that, but we need something sooner than later.
What are visitor services expenses beyond the merchandise?
Visitor center expenses, well, you have your repairs and maintenance, you have your contracts for copy machines, you've got your collateral.
No, I'm looking here.
Development.
Visitor service expenses. We budgeted 8,000 last year. We're at 9,400 this year.
That's a
And that's-
total of 84.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was a new number. Okay. Anybody else have
We
anything?
didn't spend $1,000 in 2 years, sir.
Yeah, we did.
I know that we were trying to do some recognition for them. But do we need,
That's usually our little appreciation thing that we do for them once a year.
so we just haven't done it yet this year?
Just haven't done it. Well, we did it last year. It'll start, in June, I believe. It's usually June or about July is when we do it.
Well, that reminds me, if we have any special board recognition items or anything like that, does that fall into one of those as well?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. That's the only thing I can think of.
makes sense.
And then when we reach out to try to get more volunteers, is that going to fall under the expenses to do some sort of recruitment? Seems like we need more. We need volunteers.
Are you talking about interns or are you talking about volunteers?
Talking about weekend volunteers.
Don't need to, now that we have spent money on that, we can certainly go out and get them.
How do you get the SFA volunteers to come out? They get credit, they get credit.
Yeah, they're here.
Apply to them.
That's what we're doing at this point, is using the interns for credit. For the most part, we have one right now that is being paid, but the rest of them we've been using for credit.
They're here during the week, not on the weekends.
But are you talking about internship or just the volunteers for the service? Yeah, because SFA also promotes just community service hours.
Well, for a while, Shay Reynolds was sending some of her students out.
And she still does.
She does.
Okay. Junior, but they need to have that person with them that can kind of show them the ropes. Otherwise, it's just
That's true.
space filler, and that's not
Good time.
So that's what I'm talking about. We need to bump our game up again with our volunteers. We're losing. There's been no volunteer recruitment since I've been here. So I've been involved with organizations that's ongoing because one day they're gone.
I have no idea what works with volunteer recruitment. Maybe we should have an evening open house at the visitor center or something for people to come and, if they're interested.
Talk to some of the, go talk to some of the civic groups and do a kind of a state of the CVB.
Oh, maybe that's something to pitch at Rotary next time. Or,
Please do it so that you're,
We always get a good response.
Yeah.
Like the 5-minute announcement.
there you go.
well, it's good to get them, it's good for them to see what all they're doing too and have some things to be excited about. It's a little bit more that people want to join and participate in something that has good stuff going on.
You should be able to get some time at Rotary once in a while, shouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. John, you came in just at the right time. We're done.
Awesome.
Unless you've got things to talk about. We spent a significant amount of time talking about some of our expenses and where we might be able to cut back. Some of the day-to-day operating stuff that is just money we're spending. It's not really
Not being fruitful.
Well, the elevator's costing us a lot of money. Photocopier's costing us a lot. Telephone and internet's costing us.
We have a contract for elevator, I guess,
Do
Oh, yeah.
you remember the inspection's annual, right?
for
You
elevator.
have to do that, but the maintenance contract, do you have to carry a maintenance contract?
No. How much is that?
$830 a quarter.
That's a pretty nice contract. So that's with Dyson Crook. That's their number. So you don't have to, but elevator a la carte is $175, $200 an hour. So if you call them out, it's $500. Do you have problems with this elevator?
No, but it's an old elevator.
Well, if they came out
Service.
for 4 hours.
You do an annual service on it. And
On an annual inspection, yeah.
But you can do an annual service.
yes, have them come out and spend 3 or 4 hours servicing it. I don't think you get enough traffic with that elevator for it to matter. And 90% of the time the elevator is messed up, it's something you fix with a shop vac, because it's usually something that's in the track or somebody's knocked one of those sensors. sideways or something. But, they'll,
That's a place we're looking to save some money.
yeah. No, absolutely. I would, with an elevator like this, I would have the contract. It doesn't go down all that often. I mean, have them do a real good PM on it, maintenance on it, and then go a la carte,
Great.
And if you want a la carte, I would suggest going with Otis, because Bruce with Otis is local, and he does SFA, and he is here in town all the time, and he can get here and.
Okay.
And then the copier and the phone and everything else, the other.
Those are the other places where we're flushing a lot of money.
We lease the copier.
Yeah, but it's a horrible lease. You remember what we're paying for every page and supplies.
And yeah.
It's running us $300-400 a month. Or $400 or $500.
So what do we print? This stuff and
Stuff like that. Sometimes when we run out of brochures, we print brochures up.
that might be a little different because printers nowadays, the all-in-one printers you can buy one for $400 or $500. It's pretty decent, or a LaserJet. And then if you need something printed that the public's going to see, send it to Storywriters or Staples or Klein's or something like that.
So what do we use the Xerox machine for primarily?
Sometimes copies of our restaurant guide. And it's really what I think.
So we're printing a lot of color on that Xerox.
That's a black and white.
Okay.
We do like color. I think it just looks better. But when we want to step it up, sending it out to clients to let go. Manpower, sitting out, just having it already folded. They do a good job, and I think they're pretty reasonable. It's just the instant, getting it done. Goodie bags.
Sometimes when we run out of something, we'll print it up just so we have something that if we have to, we'll send it out. But
We've created one pages for, Sherry's done something like a one page we've done a restaurant guide on one side, and then on the other, a quick map or something for our groups. Way we kind of just say welcome. When we do a letter to the groups, which Carl normally does all the time, welcoming, that kind of stuff. To me, the goodie bags need to be.
No, that's fine. We can't function without.
We've already gone through that, haven't we?
I remember the quote.
Yeah.
Let's look at that contract again. We can't.
But what, John, are you saying, I know when one of my older relatives died, we found out she was leasing her phone or paying a rental fee on her phone. I mean, is that what you're saying? Why are we leasing the equipment?
He's suggesting just buy it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And it'll take care of, even if it takes care of 80% of your printing needs, and we still have to outsource to Sunbelt or someone local. If it's a local person, you pick up the phone and you say, "Hey, I need more copies of this," and they'll say, "Hey, get them this afternoon."
And I would trust the staff to make that decision. They know how much they use their copier.
Because I'm at the place down the road. I'm not leasing a copier.
I don't lease mine.
It's usually doesn't work in your favor.
I lease one up at my department, but it costs me less than half of what we're paying. Because I get $10,000 a month, including the price. And that's on a state contract. But we definitely need to look and see if we can save some money there. And the same with the phone and internet. Paying $250 in long distance fees a month seems like it's 1980 now. What else? Anything else we should catch Mr. McLaren up on that we've talked about? We pretty much covered it all, huh?
My apologies again.
That's all right.
This morning, things I
All right, so the proposed budget for fiscal year 2017 is $595,900, which is up just a fraction over last year's. Anything else? All right, then I am going to call this meeting adjourned at 10:30 on the nose.